Okay, so the first step is to create L-shaped cleats like these. And you can see I've already made one. And essentially all I did was take 3 2x4s that were scrap, glued them up, clamped them tight overnight, and now I'm just tracing out this same shape on 4 total. 2 that are larger, 2 that are smaller. And then went over my bandsaw and cut out the rough L shape. I didn't want to change out my bandsaw blade, which I had the resaw blade in, which is about a 1/2 inch thick, and so I couldn't make the turn very well. So I took it over to my workbench, like you'll see in a second here, and just resorted to using my jigsaw. Now I don't have a good clamp at the end of my workbench, which will come in another video, so subscribe if you want to see how I'm going to make that. And it's going to be a very easy build out of just pipe clamps that I've seen elsewhere. So that's all I'm doing here is cutting these out with my jigsaw. It was honestly going to be a lot better if I just did it on my bandsaw, but I didn't feel like changing out the blade, so looking back, that's one thing I would change. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of trouble here. Again, not the greatest setup, but it'll work for this build. And then took it over my router. I always say funnest tool in the shop is the router, but it's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig, trying to round over a 2x4, I know, so don't lecture me, but it's just fun to use it. So just rounded over the edges, took off any ugly sharp corners. That'll do. Alright, here I am. I'm going to mark out the areas where I'm going to put my lag bolts in to mount it to the 2x4s on the unfinished part of my wall in my basement shop. Did that on all 4 pieces. Did it roughly 1.5 inches up and then 5 inches up just to get into the meat of the wood. That seemed to be okay. And I took a Forstner bit and just bored out enough so that the lag bolt would reach all the way through. And then I came back with a drill bit the size of a lag bolt and just drilled them out. Nothing very exciting here. Alright, so this is the unfinished wall in my basement shop where I wanted to put my lumber. I currently have it in my shop and it's just wasted space. I've got slap board up there that I could use for something totally better. So, and as you can see, I've already got one of the L-shaped cleats up and I'm just using a board to fine level. After which I went ahead and screwed in the lag bolts. Now for this build, I'm using these lag bolts. I had just kind of a mixture, mishmash of them, so they weren't exactly all the same, but I just pre-drilled and then they're about 2.5 inches long or so. I'll show you here. Alright, so now comes the second ones, and the second ones are slightly smaller, just so the top ones hang over a little bit more than these. I've got one in, and here goes the second. Just like the other, I'm just checking for level. After much debate, I think I got it. A little more elbow grease on. Got it. And here I'm swapping out the bit because the head on this one is slightly smaller. I'm not the type to go to the store and buy hardware for my projects. I usually use what I have laying around. I'm cheap that way. Or some might say resourceful. And there you have it. Easy peasy Japanesey. This is a little look at the lag bolts and front angle, side angle, and I got my lumber stacked up there. Works perfectly. out of the way. But for what I need, it works out perfectly. Ultimately, it's an easy way to get your lumber up off the ground, get it on the wall. Thanks for watching.